to this tutorial, and it's my hope that at the end of this tutorial, we would have gotten some insights that will help us, to carry out our research programs and maybe projects or data analysis, ventures that we may have. Okay, so like I have said in the WhatsApp group chat, this tutorial is for beginners actually, so it will help us to get started with our analysis actually. So feel free at any point to reach out and ask questions and maybe make contributions and get clarifications where you need clarifications to be made. Okay, so thank you once again. My name is Emeka Gold, okay, and I'm based in Babcock University, and that is where I am reaching you. So I'm sure most of you have gathered here from different places, so it doesn't matter where you are from, as far as you're here to gain knowledge. That's the most important thing. And I am sure that most of us have also installed the application, that's SPSS. And like we said, it doesn't matter the version you are using. What matters is that it has what you need to get your work done. Okay, so feel free. We're going to dive into the introduction part of this tutorial. Okay, so I'm sure everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, just signify.
I hear you.
Okay, good. Okay, so just for a quick introduction, SPSS is a statistical tool that has been used by numerous persons or numerous researchers and students to achieve different statistical needs or to solve different statistical needs. Okay, so it is not a new application actually. It's not a new application, and SPSS in its own stands for Statistical Package for Social Sciences. Okay, so it's used for different kinds of complex analysis, and it's what many people use. The logo you see here is actually the logo for that SPSS is known for. The one that is rotating now, actually, that is once you see it, you know that you're talking about SPSS. Actually, SPSS was first released in 1968, okay, by a group of 4 researchers. However, in 2009, it was acquired by IBM. So since after that acquisition by IBM, it became IBM SPSS. So it may not really be important, but just for noting sake, you might just want to know that. Okay. So regardless of the change of name, the features and the functions of SPSS remains the same. It's still a data analysis software that most researchers use today, especially for social sciences. Okay. So SPSS can be used, in different and in various ways. In various ways. For instance, it can be used for data management. Okay, and when I talk about data management, I can talk about it in the area of data entry and cleansing. And these are some of the things that we're going to be looking at practically. Okay, so data entry, when you get your questionnaires or when you get different data from different sources, you need to enter them into SPSS or into Excel or into any spreadsheet in a way that SPSS can be able to make out sense of it, and also you clean the data. Cleaning data might mean, coding the data in a way that data or numbers or figures that are not necessary or relevant to what you need are being, taken away and all that. Okay, SPSS is also used for data transformation. When we talk about data transformation, it can be maybe you want to convert data from continuous variable to maybe categorical variable. What I mean is, let's say you have age, for instance. In your questionnaire, you have shared questionnaires, and you ask everybody to indicate their date of birth and their the dates. Actually, maybe you say, okay, let's say you just say, if you are 20, just indicate that you are 20. If you are 30, indicate that you are 30. So maybe you now have many of them, and now you have gotten this data. You want to classify them into a group, So if you want to do that, you go to transformation, tool in SPSS actually, and use transformation tool to group them. Maybe you can now say 20 to 30 to be 1, 31 to 40 to be 2, and all that. So that's data transformation. So by that you are categorizing it. So that's what transformation tool can do for you. You also can use it to do descriptive statistics, especially when you are doing your analysis in the area of maybe your Likert scales and all the rest of them. So it helps you to give summary of your result or your statistics. For instance, you have you've asked questions that has to do with maybe employment. Okay, maybe you're asking, do you agree that my organization employs capable hands and all that? Strongly agree, disagree, and all that. So by the time you're done, you use descriptive statistics to give a summary of what you have in your study actually. So, and these are part of what we're going to be looking at practically. So you may not worry yourself about what I'm saying until we dive into the practical aspect of it. So you also use it under descriptives to look at frequency distribution. So you want to say, from this population, how many of them said yes, or how many of them said strongly agree, or how many of them said disagree, or how many of them said this or that. So you can align these frequencies for you. So you can say 20% of the respondents strongly agreed that employment is good, or 30% of them disagreed, and stuff like that. Okay, you can also use it to do cross tabulation. Cross tabulation actually comes in when you want to maybe do a comparison between, maybe you want to check age and maybe knowledge. So maybe you've classified your knowledge variables into good and bad, and then classified your age into maybe 1 to 10, 11 to 12, and all that. So you want to find out what is happening between those between the age 1 to 10 and age 11 to 20, what their relationship is as to knowledge of cancer, or knowledge of whatever it is. But it's cross tabulation that we use under descriptive. There are so many other things that you can still do under descriptive statistics, but for the sake of what we are studying, we may not really go into all that, but these ones will be enough for us for beginners. So if you talk about inferential statistics, we're talking about hypothesis testing. So in most social studies, in most social sciences, you test hypotheses. Okay, so when you are studying something like we said, employment and job performance, so you want to find out what is the relationship or what is the effect of employment on job performance. So for something like that, you use hypothesis testing. And in hypothesis testing, there are different hypotheses that can be structured, and the aim of this tutorial is not to teach you how to form your hypothesis, but maybe in subsequent lessons you might need to know that. Okay, so you might need to know when to use what tool to do or to solve a hypothesis and all that. Okay, so aside from that, you use inferential statistics to run regression analysis. You can also use it to also do some other important hypothesis testing that is not only regression. There is correlation and all the rest of them. Okay, so moving further, there are some basic facts that I think is important for us to note, as we go on with this course. Okay, so when we enter data in SPSS, there are some rules that SPSS obey. Okay, that I'm thinking is important for us to know. One of them is that your variables, okay, your variable name must not be more than 64 characters. Like I said, when we enter into SPSS, you understand all this I'm saying. It must not be more than 64 characters, and then the variable names must not have spaces in between them. Okay, but instead of using spaces, you can use underscore. Okay, and I'm sure you understand what I mean by underscore, and we'll practicalize that too. So you use underscore because that's what SPSS understands, especially when you're entering variable names. Okay, yeah. So these variable names must be unique actually. So sometimes you see some people for age they can just put A, or for their demographics they might decide to use A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, just to represent what is in their section A. I don't know if you get. So that's when we say it has to be unique, something that makes it easy for you to grab. Okay. So the variable names too must not start with a number. It must not start with a number. So that's we should bear in mind. And the variable names too must not begin with the special, characters like hash and like you can see on the screenshot. It mustn't start with all those things because SPSS variable section does not really accept that. Okay, so this is where I think this introduction will stop for now, so that we can actually look at SPSS properly and see how far we can go. I don't know if we are together. Are we together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Emeka, you're in order.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for your response. I appreciate. Okay, so having given that brief introduction, let's just dive into SPSS. So I'll launch my SPSS, and I'm sure that you also should launch your own SPSS so that we all can be on the same page. So you can launch your own, and let's see how we can interact together. So I'm gonna share that. Okay, so can you all see my screen, my SPSS screen? Please let me know if you can see my screen. Mrs. Faith, can you see my screen?
I can. Yes, I can see your screen, sir.
Okay, can you see the SPSS one?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. So I had to share my entire screen so that we'll be able to see everything. Okay, so I am actually using a MacBook, so the interface might be a little different from what you have in your Windows, but it's still the same. Okay, it's still the same. So it's still the same. So this is how a typical SPSS looks like. Okay, so when you open it, when you launch it newly, that is how it comes out. Okay, so blank until you fill it with some information or content that are necessary for what you want to achieve. So I think the first thing we need to look at or need to understand is these two keys, the data view and the variable view. The data view and the variable view. So those are the two things that you need to actually lay your hands on as you begin. So the data view is where you impute your data. Okay, that's where you impute your data 1, 2, 3. Especially if you are dealing with numerical values. So, but if you are doing with string values, maybe letters, you also do the same thing. But for now, we are dealing with numerical data. So this is where you put your numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To whatever it is. Okay, so when you come to the variable view, you see that the variable view, the names have been automatically generated. Okay, however, like what I said initially, you want to give special or unique names to your variables so that you're able to remember them anywhere and anytime. Okay, so that is why you have VAR 001 and so on. So if you have 10 million data, it will number it for you actually, but for the sake of making your data to look very okay, you need to name it by yourself. Okay, so let's assume you have your questionnaires and you have actually collected all the information you need. The next thing you need to do is to bring them to SPSS or in Excel and then type out all those information. By the time you type them out, you bring them here and then give them names. Those names are what will help you to be able to work around them. So let's assume we have more data here now. So let me say we still have okay, let's just give something that is very okay. So let's use demographic information. So let's say age. Let's say age should be denoted as A1, and then let's say maybe gender should be denoted as A2, and then let's say maybe marital status will be denoted as A3, and then let's say maybe educational qualification will be denoted as A4. Okay, so that it's easy for us to understand. So having done that, I will come here and give the label or write out the full meaning of what I mean. So the first one is age. The second one is what did I put there? Gender. Okay, so the third one is what did I put there? Marital status. Okay, the fourth one is educational qualification. Okay, so that being said, qualification, educational qualification. So that being said, we will now try to, understand what this all this interface, what they actually represent, so that we don't get ourselves confused. So after this name here, like we have denoted them with A1, A2, A3, A4. The next thing here is type. This type is actually talking about types of numeric, or types of data actually that we have. So, like I said, because we are using numbers or figures, that is why you are seeing numeric there, okay? Outside this numeric, you can have comma, you have dots, you have scientific notation, you have different, different variable types that can be used. Okay, but for the sake of data analysis, most of us use numeric information, so that is why you have numeric there. But let's say you have something like a string or a letter, it will be string actually. You can select string, as I'm sure you have seen it on my screen. So whatever type of data you have, all you need to do is to select what gives you access to it. Okay, so but we are using numeric, so we will leave it at numeric. Now after that, we have width. This width actually shows you, or the length, the width of your data. So if you check your data view, you see that all of them are the same. That's because the width is 8. Okay, if I change it, you see that it will expand. So depending on the kind of data you are bringing in, you might need to expand or reduce or play around it just to serve you the way you want it. Okay, now looking at this place, we have decimals. Decimals is actually saying how many decimal places do you want your results to appear. Okay, so this one automatically to SPSS will give you 2. Do you get? So that's why you have 2 there. You can actually increase it to 4, 5, 6 depending on what you are working on. Okay, some people actually, like me, I put it in 0 so it doesn't give me confusion actually, but automatically that is how it will appear for you. Okay, so depending on what you are dealing or what you are working on, you might need to change it around. Okay, now the label, like I said earlier, under the name section, SPSS does not take spaces or characters that are somehow, but under the label you can actually write out the full meaning of what each of your unique data stands for. I don't know who is actually making noise. Okay, so SPSS can actually give you, you can actually write out what each of the names stands for. That's why you have age here, you have gender written out clearly, you have marital status written out clearly, you have educational qualification written out clearly. By the time you engage in more practice, you see that most of all your questionnaires, all your questions, you need to write them out under this place. So no matter how long or how big they appear, this is where you come and write them or paste them. So the label is where you have the room to do all that. Now, if you look at this place is values. Now remember that for SPSS to make out sense, on this data that you have here, you need to actually tell it what each of them stands for. You need to actually tell it what each of them stands for. So for age, so let's just say we are grouping them into two, so we'll not waste your time. So let's say we are grouping them into two. So we have two age brackets. So one is for 1 to 10. So 2 is for 11 to 20. So let me just quickly populate this thing a little. So here will be 2. Okay, here is 1. Here will be 2. Here will be 2. Let's say here is another 1, and here is another 2, and so on. Here will be 1. Here will be 1. So I've actually given and figures there. Now I will come back to variable view under values. I'm sure you are seeing it, and then tell SPSS what I mean by 1 and 2, and that is what I will do by coming to this box. Okay, so when we come to this box, we'll try to tell SPSS that this is what we mean by 1. So whenever SPSS sees 1 under that column, it will represent it with whatever we've given it. So 1 for us in this lesson means ages 1 to 10. Okay, so 1 to 10 years. So I will represent it like this and add. Okay, that is 1. Then 2 represents 11 to 20. Okay, 11 to 20 years. I will add it and represent it like this and add it like this. So once I am done with this, I will just say okay. So if I say okay, it has taken note of it, and in fact it has registered it. Now for gender, so normally we have for now in Nigeria we just have male and female, and even if we have other maybe gender, so let's just limit it at male and female. So we also say 1 and 2. So 1 will stand for male, 2 will stand for female. So let's populate something, and for hypothesis sake, so say this. Okay, so I will come back to variable view, okay, and try to tell SPSS what I mean by 1 and 2. So here 1 means male, okay, and I'll add it, and 2 means female, and I'll add it. So once I'm done with this, I will say okay. Okay, good. Now I'll move further to marital status. Okay, so under marital status we'll do the same thing. So marital status we'll just limit it to 3. So we'll say maybe 1 is single, 2 is married, and maybe 3 is divorced. So let's just populate something here and leave it like this: 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 2, and so on. So I'll go back again to variable view and also tell SPSS what I want it to note it for. So this 1 is single, okay, I'll add it. So 2 is married, I'll add it, and 3 is maybe divorced, okay, I'll add it. So once I add them, I'll say okay, good. So I also have educational qualification. I'll do the same thing. So I'll come back and just say maybe 1, maybe 2, 3, and then 1, 2, and so on. Okay, so 1 will be maybe educated. Okay, so 1 means educated. 2 might be not educated. Okay, and 3 might be can just say none of the above, or whatever it is. It's just something that will help you to understand what your data represents. Okay, so having done this, let me clear this so that it doesn't. So having done this, we have a data to work with now. Okay, so we have a data to work with. So this can serve us, for this beginning time to be able to understand how to work around it. So that is for values. So under missing, if you have missing data, you can actually come to use this missing data to, indicate what and what is missing, so that SPSS2 will take note of it. Under columns actually is 8, just like width. So it's actually trying to tell you the distance between each of the columns and the width, so you don't get confused about that. Okay, so back to that variable view, you have align. So let's say you want to align your data to right, left, or center. That is where you do that. So let's say the way you have put this in, this one's now, as you can see, they are actually aligned towards the left. But let's assume you want to make everything to be in the middle. So that is here. You just come here and select maybe center. You select center, so that everything will be centered. Okay, once everything is centered, I think that's all you want to achieve. So you can see now that everything is in the middle. So that's what that one does. And then measure actually, there are 3 measures that you see here actually. So you have scale, you have ordinal, and then you have nominal variables. So depending on the kind of data you have, you select what suits you. The kind of data we have now is more of nominal or ordinal variables. So you select those ones and use them. When you are talking about scale, you talk about when you have computed your variable or your data. You have let's say we are still using that employment, for instance. So under your section A or your section B, you are trying to compute all the data concerning employment. So when you do that, they come under scale. Okay, so you come there and select it, but for now we don't have that, so we just leave it the way it is for now and order. So those are the simple things you do under variable view. And then under data view, like I said, is just for you to put all your data, and these data you can actually get them from different spreadsheets. So some people like to use SPSS to impute their data at the same time, while some other people use Excel to impute their data and then copy them or import them into this place. But whatever software you are using, anyone that is much pleasing for you is what we advise you use. Okay, so but quickly, if you want to really import a data, I think what you need to do is to go to this place. I'm sure you can see me. Let me take it back again. You go to this place, so it will take you to open folders. So when it opens folders for you, select the folder you're actually looking for, and then go into it, open the one you are looking for, and then whatever data you want to bring out from it, you bring it out. Okay, so I'm not sure I want to import any data actually now, but if that is what you feel you want to do, you can actually open them and then import it into SPSS and use it. But that we will do on another class. Okay, but for now, this variable view is very important for us to take note of. Okay, like I said, this is where you do importation, this is where you save, this is where you print if you want to print. This place is actually where you can quickly visit all the recent tabs that you opened in your SPSS. So whenever you open a tab, SPSS saves it for you. So in case you want to quickly make use of it again, instead of going to check for where they are, you can quickly go here and select any of them that if you want to use it again. Okay, now here is if you maybe made a mistake, you want to go back or you want to go forward, this is where you do that. Okay, and this place as well, you can actually select a number of cases that you are looking for. Let's say you have thousands of numbers that you have actually imputed in SPSS and you just want to go to number 5 or number 1. Let's say number 1. So let's just say you want to go to number 1. You just, number 3 or whatever number. You just, once you click it, it takes you to that point straight. It doesn't, delay you. It just takes you to that place. So it makes work easy, especially when you have large number of data and all that. And here too, if you want to also track your variables, especially when they are also large, you also do the same thing. You put the number you are looking at, and then it will take you to that point. Okay. And then when you also want to look at different variables and look at their characters and all that, you can actually open this port, and it will just show you in a glance what each of them contains. As you can see, as I'm shifting it, it's showing you what the values that each of them has and all that. So if you also want to quickly run a quick frequencies, you can actually use this one I use now. So you can actually run a quick variable on the highlighted variable of choice, and it will give it to you immediately. So those are some of the tools that are very essential for us, especially when we are using this newly. And this is fine. If you want to find anything, you can actually type whatever you want to find. This may not really make much sense to us because we don't have much data. So, but when you're working with large data, you might need to make use of some of them and all that. So these ones are, you can also split files. That's actually when you also have large data. But for now, we can just leave all those ones. This place actually helps you to see the values that you have imputed, or the meaning of those 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you can switch it on and off, on and off. So you can actually see. Sometimes you might get confused when you're looking at your data. So you just switch here. It tells you exactly what you have in all. Okay. So that being said, I think this can serve as a quick introduction to us because we're actually getting close to 140. So, and I'm going to be stopping here and expecting that we will react towards what we've had. So I don't know if anybody has any comment to make or any questions to ask. I think the floor is ours to do that. Thank you very much for your rapt attention. The floor is open for you to make your comments or your questions.
Please, I want to ask a question. Good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon.
The parts where we have nominal, ordinal, and scale, when exactly do we use them? Because I just started using SPSS, but that aspect is still giving me issue. Most times I just use nominal and leave it. But when exactly are we supposed to use nominal, and when are we supposed to use ordinal and then scale?
Okay. Dr. Goodluck, are you there?
Good question. In research, data is categorized. Data is categorized into different forms. Now, these forms of data, they come in terms of nominal, okay? And then they come in form of ordinal. And they come in form of scale. And sometimes they come in form of categorical variables. But for captures only 3 basic forms: the nominal, the ordinal, and the scale. Now, when you pick a particular questionnaire, I'm sure you have seen a questionnaire before, and that questionnaire is usually divided into
sections,
2 or 3 major parts. The first part will always take care of the demographic information of the respondents. That is their age, their income, their gender, their number of years they have spent working in a particular position or a particular organization. Now, you see that first part of the questionnaire, the data you are going to be harvesting from that demographic information is referred to as nominal data. Now, the reason it is nominal because the fact that somebody is age 20 to 22 in a particular study doesn't mean that somebody who is age 60 to 69 is less important. So in nominal data, the focus is not on the importance of any of the values. It's just that you're trying to get the information of the respondents. Now, that is nominal. Now, the other part, which is ordinal. So if you look at ordinal, if you remember mathematics in those days, when they were teaching us about cardinal and ordinal numbers, who can remember? I'm sure we can remember ordinal numbers.
Yes,
now,
ranking.
Ordinal has to do with,
Rank.
level of rank.
Yeah.
Meaning that 1 is definitely less than 2. 2 is less than 3.
Yes.
4 is higher than 3. 5 is higher
Than
than 4. So now if you look at that ordinal part, the second part of the questionnaire, that is the section B of the questionnaire, or the section C, as the case may be, all the information you're going to be harvesting or data you will collect from that part of the questionnaire are referred to as ordinal data. So in SPSS, when you are entering your data, you have to tell SPSS that in this study, age, I'm using age as a nominal data. What it now means is that there's a particular study that you want to do. Age will definitely now become an ordinal data rather than a nominal data. So I don't know if Joy is getting this explanation.
Joy,
Yes,
sure.
I am.
Ahead. So that is it. Then the third part, which is the
Scale.
Sometimes when you want to do your hypothesis test or you want to carry out further studies that are not just descriptive, then you now begin to transform your ordinal data into a scale data so that you can be able to run maybe your hypothesis, your ANOVA, or do some other inferential analysis that is required in the study you're trying to do, or that will help to make your data make more sense in terms of the results and outputs. There is more to this. There are more to all this explanation, but
Yes.
this is just a small class. We won't be able to do all the explanations here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. And we'll be providing more of this. From tomorrow, we'll be practicalizing, some of all the things we've said, and maybe from there we'll be able to understand all these measures we've talked about, ordinal, scale, and nominal properly. Okay, so by tomorrow I will be providing a specimen that we use, just a sample or a template that we can use to work with. Okay, so that it can help us to, be together, okay, and have one objective. Thank you very much once again, and do have a wonderful day ahead. Peace.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Dr. Goodluck, thank you very much.
brother.
Thank
God
you very
bless you,
much.
Jared.
Yeah. We hope to see you tomorrow.